Fugelsang. We are here, gentlemen. It's always just such a comfortable space to be anytime I'm sharing it with you, John. And also, hi, Dean.
Hello, Pete. Sorry you don't understand Kendrick Lamar, but
yeah, I don't know what happened. I just know that I think white people were very mad about him. I saw there was some reaction from the whites. They didn't like it.
Which white people are you speaking of, Pete? All of them, or the special ones that vote for a racist?
There's a separate chat with my high school friends, which I'm not invited to because they know I would make things uncomfortable if they said certain things. And apparently in that chat with my white high school friends, there was some real objections to some of the things that Kendrick Lamar said. They said he was.
In other words, with your racist high school white friends, they had objections to it because they vote for a racist.
Yes, I think so. I don't know exactly what happened, but that's my guess. Yeah,
that's all right.
What were Charlie Kirk was upset. Charlie Kirk was upset.
Oh, no.
Charlie Kirk he posted, "This is not my taste in music," which was just code. And then the other right winger, Benny, whatever, and Carrie Lake was upset. He gave it a 0 out of 10. I'm not kidding.
You have to understand, Pete, these people scored such a victory getting the words "end racism" removed from the end zone. Like that was that, their entire movement is anti-discrimination. So having people be openly black was deeply offensive to folks who've worked their entire lives to make those people afraid to be openly black. All I can say is make racists embarrassed again, because we are in a golden age and they're all doing it now. They're coming out and saying, we don't have to be nice anymore. We can make racist posts anymore. America voted on this. That is the consensus. You should be very prepared for a lot more openly racist comments and a lot more openly anti-woman comments, because that's what the people voted for, except they didn't. Let me remind your very attractive listeners, the majority of people who showed up to vote have voted against Donald Trump and his agenda in 2016, 2020, and 2024. But it's their America. They own it. They don't like anybody acting that way. Caucasians aren't going to be a minority until 2045. But what we're witnessing now is they're not going to go gracefully.
They really don't like you, Dean. I feel like
me. No, they like me a lot. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Pete. I'm on there. I've changed my name. I'm now Dean Obeidallah, 100% Italian, and that's what I'm going. So I'm sorry. I had a shift. I mean, you got to go where the room's going. You got to feel it out, right? Well, I was Team Brown for a while. I'm back on Team White, but I'm quick to move back to Team Brown as soon as things start moving the other way, because Team Brown's going to win this thing in the long run. But right now, I got to go back Team White. So I don't know what you guys are about, but this is a DEI show. And I don't like it. So
I thought I was white enough, but now on Twitter they found a way around that. I'm called Jew about 2 to 3 times a day on Twitter.
Wow.
Every day as an epithet, I am called Jew. But I do feel guilt over it. So I feel as a Catholic, I'm honoring both faith traditions.
That's really interesting that they call you that. I wonder what that's about. Maybe it's your face.
Yeah, I don't wonder what that's about.
I don't think so. By the way, was I supposed to wear a black turtleneck type mock turtleneck?
John is dressed as Steve Jobs, and I look like his assistant.
You guys look like cat burglars from some
Dean's not like us.
Movie.
Dean's not like us. Dean's
I'm
not like us.
You. You guys, are you guys going to break into the museum after this?
You're not one of us, I think, is the issue.
You with Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones, they're going to dance over laser.
I invited you to mime school, Dean. Only Pete came. You didn't even answer the email. You could have come with us and learned how to do the box.
I didn't know I like words too much. I'm a word guy. I can't help it. No, look. So all right, I'm in movement chance here. This is great.
This is especially great for people listening audio only who have no idea about the visuals. So I'm enjoying
this. This is a video program, though. It's video, right, Pete? Your thing is video.
Well, I'm definitely putting that clip out there. Okay, so I feel like the next time we see each other, we're all going to be together in a camp somewhere. They're apparently a federal court rejected the Trump administration from sending 3 people to the camp they've now rebuilt, I guess, in Guantanamo Bay. Also, I guess they can send.
They haven't rebuilt it. No, they have not rebuilt it. It's falling apart. It's mildewed, and they can only have a couple hundred people maximum there. And none of it is paid for, Pete. None of the camp that we're all going to be in hasn't been paid for yet. None of it's paid for.
I don't know if they're going to torture them, but I'm told that they're already playing Dean's stand-up act in some of the cells. Dean, your response to the camps and the torture?
First of all, I have cousins in the camps right now, and it's not nice. We've talked about it. They want better food. The movies are really bad. There's old movies from the 90s. Look, I don't know if we're going to be put in camps, but I will say that the first group of people Hitler put in the concentration camps were his political opponents and dissidents. So within the first few months, 27,000 put in by July, and he got into power in January. So like if you like history, you might be worried about that because that's where this goes.
A couple people have asked me if I'm concerned about my work, my program, my speech. And I said, I mean, I think that most independent, much less smaller shows maybe that aren't the top shows that don't have the most money are not being looked at as much. I mean, you understand, you see the strategy around suing CBS and ABC and Facebook and getting them to bend at a knee. You both work at SiriusXM. I work nowhere in a room, but do you feel any pressure? Are you worried about any censorship in any way being at that big company or just anywhere else that both of you appear? John?
No, none.
Dean?
I'm going to be suing you after the show, Pete, just so you feel good about it. But if they get to Pete, then we're in a camp. Me and John have been in exile. We're in a pirate ship somewhere. If they go like, all right, now we're going for Pete Dominic, you know how far down the list that is? There are people with 2 strings in a cup. Or a string in 2 cups, all right? That are no. Pete, look, all they have to do is make an example of one big name, Brian Tyler Cohen, one big independent media person, and then the rest of us scramble who don't work in a company. Can you get insurance to protect yourself? Will anybody give you insurance? Do you want to go? And self-censorship is the dictator's greatest friend. We all know that. You make an example of a few. And the concern is, do you not do that investigative reporting? Do you not go press as hard? Very subtle thing, even subconscious. That's the bigger concern. The little stuff.
The guy with the string and 2 cans has a fantastic time slot, by the way. I'm just staying alive to wait for his time slot to open up. Yeah.
Well, they're so luckily that they're bad, but they're not always very good at what they do. So some of them are so dumb. When they do come for me, they're going to come looking at the SiriusXM studio that I used to sit in that you guys now occupy. So I think I win in the end, I think.
Steve Bannon sat in the same studio. So, I think that I'm going to email Bannon.
Did Steve Bannon take down Elon Musk? He said he was going to, and I feel like maybe he didn't.
Not yet. I'm rooting for Bannon. If we're allowed, you don't want to get into Kendrick Lamar and Drake, Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. Let's get into at least Bannon versus Musk. Can we at least do that?
I'm always so shocked when amoral, racist narcissists don't get along with each other. You'd think they'd click. You'd think put a couple of toxic narcissists in the same room and they'll immediately gel and work together and realize that we have to be. But so far, not happening. I'm so glad that'll never happen with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and that these 2 particular toxic narcissist millionaire at birth apartheid brats will continue. I mean, look, these people are all going to turn on each other. That's inevitable.
Oh, yeah.
We know they're all going to turn on each other. They all turned on each other when it looked like they were in danger of being held responsible for their crimes the last time. So, I mean, look, we are it's a 15-round boxing match of Rocky in this rematch, and we're still in the first minute of the first round of the 15 rounds. Okay, folks. Wow. So we're still in the part where Stallone is getting his face pummeled in, usually for the first 3 rounds, but he doesn't go down. That's the part of the movie we're at right now. So I'm not going to stick my head in the oven quite just yet. It's very early in this process. There is an incredible amount of resistance already taking form. It is different this time. It is evolving, and it's a bit harder. But I have complete faith in the awfulness of these people and their agenda, and the fact that, this is how it's always been. I'm not shocked that he won, because in my lifetime, the only time Democrats have gotten the White House has been after Republicans have burned the house down. I've never seen a Democrat get in when times were good. Jimmy Carter got in because of Watergate. Clinton got in because of 12 years of trickle-down collapsed. Obama got in because Bush was the worst president of all time until not too long ago. Yeah, and then Biden got in because Trump was the worst president. I mean, start thinking about 2026 and 2028, because it's going to change. It's not going to be this way forever. And I'd like to believe that we'll have people mindful of the kind of legislation we need to keep the empire from coming back as the First Order when it's really the same fascist bunch of freaks.
Wow, a 2 movie reference commentary.
That's very good.
I'm here to alienate all the women. Here to alienate all the women. I promise.
Dean, do you agree with the metaphors, the movies, the way that John is putting it? He seems to be optimistic about our ability to have a midterm election, much less another presidential election.
I think that what John just said is why I am like very on the edge of going back to Team Brown at any moment, because it could swing back. You have to be flexible and fluid. You got to be willing to move. There are Democrats who campaign for Biden and now on right-wing radio and right-wing TV saying how bad Democrats are. Those people are really amazing. So if you want to know what's going to end with Elon Musk, Google Rasputin. Rasputin, everybody. That's how it ends, because it's not the rank and file. It's the jealous noblemen around the king, the czar, in the case of Tsar Nicholas, Donald Trump, who come after him. And Bannon is the beginning of that, where then Bannon invites Musk over and serves him cakes filled with poison, and then they shoot him in the face and tie him up and beat him up and throw him in the river. That's how it goes down.
I mean, we're not Putin's America until oligarchs are being thrown out of windows. So I'm still, waiting for that moment to come. But yeah, and we're also in a race to see what's going to happen. The effects of the ketamine on Elon's nervous system versus the 7 inches of plaque that encased Donald Trump's heart. These are not well men, and it's not going to end well for either one of them. There is no scenario where they are good guys in history books of the future. And that's the thing to remember. Historians of the future aren't going to be beguiled by Donald Trump's racist bullshit and rallies. Historians of the future are going to tell the truth about this. And dumb people of the future won't know anything about it, because dumb people of the future won't be defending Donald Trump. His place in the history books is going to be written by the historians, because dumb people of the future won't care, because dumb people now don't care about history. And that's why Donald Trump is president. We got to take a step back from this. It's awful. It's going to be bad. A lot of people are going to be hurt, but they're going to need strong, decent people. And everyone who's feeling overwhelmed, find someone who's more overwhelmed than you and be strong for them, because we're going to get through this if we can do it together.
So if they need strong, decent people, John, what are you doing?
I'm just here to tell jokes for the strong, decent people, Dean. That's really it. I'm here to amuse and entertain and try to encourage the strong, decent people in their strength and decency, as those are 2 categories I lack. But dick jokes I can help with.
What do you guys think of all the imperialism or the threats that Trump is making? Because sometimes people will say, I'm of 2 minds of this. Like, he's talking about Greenland, he's talking about Panama Canal, making Canada the 51st state, and owning Gaza.
He's a shrewd negotiator. He's a shrewd negotiator. That's all it is, a negotiating tactic, Pete. Sorry, that's my impression of the New York Times. Go on, please.
Oh, I'd like to hear some more of your New York Times.
Oh, he's such a shrewd. Oh, he's got a strategy here. It seems insane, but he's savvy negotiator. Oh,
the truth is, though, I feel like the other part of it is there are real consequences. I mean, Bin Laden attacked for less. I mean, he was mad.
Bin Laden attacked for exactly what he's doing right now. I mean, Donald Trump figured out a way to have a 2-state solution. Israel and the United States side by side. He did it. If you're tired of those angry Palestinians taking it out on the Israelis via terrorism, get ready for them to leave the Israelis alone and take it out on us. Because I've got a picture of Andrew Jackson in his office, has now pitched the most obscene international border crossing trail of tears that Jordan doesn't like, that Saudi Arabia doesn't like, that Egypt doesn't like, and the folks in Palestine who've been fighting Israel trying to kill him aren't going to take too kindly to Donald Trump trying to displace him. And they're not going to take too kindly to all of us, because it's being done in our name.
Yeah, Canadian.
I'm Palestinian, so I think they're okay with me.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
I mean, it's astonishingly stupid. The world is shocked at how stupid it is. And our media, which is afraid of using the word lie, they still got to use words like prevarication or falsehood or whopper. They're going to go along with it and accuse it of being a negotiating tactic. It is insane. It is diabolical. And I'm thrilled that Al Green was the first Democrat to introduce articles of impeachment. I want to see a different Democrat introduce more doomed articles of impeachment every week. We laughed at the Republicans a dozen years ago when they were trying to have repeal votes against Obamacare every week. We thought, oh, the folly, it's not going to lead to anything. But they were messaging constantly that they were resisting President Obama's agenda and his efforts to get health care to poor people. They consolidated their base with a message, and they fundraised off it like fiends. Take a page out of the evil Tea Party book and introduce new articles of impeachment, if for no other reason than to galvanize support and let historians of the future know that we were objecting every step of the way.
Dean, You're Palestinian. I was surprised and impressed to see you out there at halftime with the Palestinian flag at the Super Bowl.
It's also the Sudan flag, so let's not forget I had both flags.
That was impressive that you made it to the show.
Make up your mind. Make up your mind.
Well, go ahead. What
is your reaction to the "it's all talk"? I mean, the Canadians who are against each other are apparently more unified than they've been in a lifetime against us. And what about the Palestinian reaction, the Muslim reaction? The Arab world doesn't like this much either, or most people who don't like invading other countries.
Look, I mean, Trump is bringing people together to hate America, which is kind of remarkable. It's unlike anything you've ever seen. He's a uniter. Look, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Gaza. We will see. If they're going, Trump said no U.S. troops. So if Israel, through their military, is going to ethnically cleanse 2 million people, we will see a massive buildup. In fact, in reality, today, the Israeli military has been pulling out of northern Gaza in compliance with the ceasefire agreement. So there's one thing, there's talk. Look at actions. If you start seeing the Israeli military again building around Gaza and like we're going to get rid of all the Christians and Muslims in Gaza and make it a Jewish-only land, I think you're going to see more of the world get upset. I don't really think Netanyahu thinks that is a good idea. I think on the far right in Israel, they've talked about this for years. They talk about getting rid of my family in the West Bank, ethnically cleansing the Christians and Muslims in the West Bank, making it Jewish-only land. That's the goal of the far right in Israel. That's not mainstream Israeli. It's not certainly mainstream Judaism, but that's the far right. So
exactly right.
Look at with the threats to Canada and Greenland, which is part of Denmark. These are threats to NATO allies. Like I'm not sure what the end game is, other than get NATO to have to fight us because of the charter.
Or weaken and dismantle NATO, making NATO member nations more vulnerable to imperialist invasion that white American and conservative bro dudes will never criticize. You know, they all pretend they're anti-war now. The people who belittled us for being against their last war all pretend they're anti-war. They're not. They're not at all. They are totally in favor of war, as long as it's a large nation waging war on a weaker country, because none of these anti-war Republican frauds will ever criticize Vladimir Putin's rape and slaughter in Ukraine. And I promise I'll be funny after this, but these people make me want to flip the table. And to your point, Dean, you think there's going to be any Arab soldiers who will ever help participate in forcibly removing Palestinians from Gaza? They will not have any cooperation. Those Palestinians are not going to move, and there will not be any soldiers from any Muslim nations who will forcibly move them. So if they really want to steal this land and build hotels, because it's not safe for you, but it's safe for Jared to build, it's going to rely on American troops forcibly dragging families from their homes in front of cameras. This is what Putin wants. This is what China wants. This is what their vassals are serving up in D.C.
Vassals.
I could say bitches if you want, but I know your audience.
I don't like that word. I don't like that word.
Pete, by the way, with today, if you saw what Trump said in the Bret Baier interview, he said last night, and they're releasing more of it about Canada. It's no different than the way Putin justified the war against Ukraine. It's filled with lies. He said, we're tired of paying them $200 billion. We're not paying Canada $200 billion. That number's made up. We give them about 20 or 30 million in foreign aid for our own benefit. The rest of it is trade deficit while protecting, and he's just making up lies, trying to get his base on board to take over Canada, our northern ally. One of our closest allies, one of the founding nations of NATO is Canada. And we're going to go and attack it. And you wonder how many Americans would be on board. I think on paper, there might be some. If they have to send them, you send the MAGA people, you make them stop listening to Joe Rogan and make them go fight a war. I don't know how many are really going to be on board with that. They have to go do that.
By the way, the Pentagon is having a real hard trouble with recruitment right now, because 75% of Americans between 17 and 24 are medically not fit to be brought into the armed forces. 3 out of 4 people are, for whatever reason, different reasons, medically not able to join the armed forces right now.
And if they kick out all the gay and trans people out of the Navy alone, they're only going to be left with one ship.
That's right. That's right.
Anybody who's not white, because you're DEI. Everybody of color is DEI, and women are DEI.
Everything's DEI.
What a military we're going to have. We're going to have like a bunch of guys who just play video games, out of shape, bitter and angry, defending our nation. They're not going to do it, because I don't see them doing it. You have to have a draft.
Even there's a lot of Canadians who apparently are very, conservative, pro-MAGA. They love Trump. They love all the things that Americans love, and it's true of other countries.
They're racist Canadians, yes.
But yeah, they're racist, but they're like religious, our kind of religion.
No. You're not. You can't be a Christian and be a racist. You can be a blaspheming fucking liar and be a racist, and that's what MAGA has. Sorry, but there's nothing Christ-like about the MAGA movement. You cannot follow Trump and Jesus. I have a book coming out about this later, so it's sort of my thing. But I can't let these guys get away with calling themselves that word. I'm sorry, Pete. Go ahead.
No doubt about it. I agree with you, but I'm saying these Canadians that are very similar to American MAGA, I think even they are like, whoa, hey, wait, we don't want to be American. They're still prideful of their version of Canada, what they love about Canada.
I'm sure Donald Trump will get their consent before he does anything. He won't lay a hand on it without getting consent first. That's who he is. I know.
Everybody loves it. Don't you? Everything he says, everybody loves it. Everyone I've talked to loves it.
Listen, when you're a star, you can grab them by the provinces. They let you do it.
He would never fuck Alberta. It's not his type. But Alberta
wouldn't fuck him on his best day, sister.
Well, I think they might. Here's the thing about Alberta. I got nothing. But I do wonder if either of you are hearing from, like, I always have this question that the fever breaks when something directly affects you, when you're not getting your check. So there's all this stuff on TikTok and everywhere now about farmers losing money, contracts, and so on as a result of USAID, which Elon Musk doesn't realize how bad this is going to be for MAGA. He doesn't care about it. He's not thinking about it. And I wonder,
they don't need MAGA anymore. Like they don't need the Christians anymore. They're attacking Lutherans and the Catholics. And I mean, J.D. Vance got everybody to feel sorry for the Catholic bishops in this century. Not easy to do.
But do you think that those people connect the dots and say, the reason I'm not getting my check, my benefits, anything is as a result of Donald Trump and Elon Musk?
That's up to Democrats. Democrats have to do that. Democrats have to make that message stick. Because they can't just hope people are going to get it.
Immigrants and trans children are why eggs are so. I heard this on Tucker Carlson and Hannity. It's immigrants and trans children who want to play sports. That's the cause of all my problems. That's what we're up against.
We can't even get eggs where I live. We have no eggs. Trader Joe's has no eggs. It's crazy over here. I'm not kidding. It's a black market for eggs.
Everybody compares this, and you know what? You know why they're going up now? Bird flu. You'd think these Christians would notice every time they elect Caligula, God sends a new plague. I mean, it's not me; it's God doing it. But
it's Old Testament come to life. This is kind of fun.
Election. People keep comparing this to 2016. It's got nothing to do with 2016. This is the 2004 election. In 2004, we had a president man-baby, a rich millionaire at birth with no empathy, who couldn't speak without a teleprompter, who had never gotten a job, made an honest buck in his life, and he lied to America, and a lot of us died in a war. And the body bags were coming home, and there were no WMDs, and America reelected him anyway. That was what this election was. Holy shit, you people know how corrupt and evil he is, but you Caucasians voted for his lies anyway? To me, it's as dark as 2004 was, and we know how popular that president was when he finally left. You're exactly right, Peter. It's 1 degree of empathy. They're not going to care. They didn't care when body bags were coming home. They don't care when it's school shootings. They never cared about AIDS. They don't care about gay people until it's someone they know. And it's 1 degree of empathy. And that's how the GOP is different. They got to know someone it affects before they care. Sorry.
I believe the argument that COVID is why Trump didn't get reelected by a slim margin. I believe that because people were affected and people cared enough people cared. You don't think, Dean, do you agree with John? You don't think if some farmer's not getting his check, he's not going to care?
I think that specific farmer would, but we're not having an election until 2026 at best. 2025, we have some elections in governor for Virginia and New Jersey. Right. But John, you're missing it. You know who lost this election? The reason Trump won is because of about 20,000 Arab and Muslims in Michigan. That's who won all 7 battleground states. Don't you get it?
My favorite people? Yeah, let's talk about it.
It's because it's white liberals and white moderates keep telling me it's the Arab and Muslim fault. I'm like, but only almost 60% of white people voted for Trump. Why is it 20,000 of the black and the brown and Muslims in Michigan? We don't even in the other states. Why
you can blame it all on white men? You can blame it all on white people.
No, but they don't want to have that conversation. It's so funny how they're like, it was all your fault. I'm like, I don't think you're seeing the numbers.
It's not all the fault of them, but it's also the fault of third party purity test white liberals, the guys who are way too pure to vote for Kamala Harris, who I only agree with on like 85% of shit. So no way am I going to compromise my vote. And that's how it happens. Jill Stein's nowhere to be seen right now. She's gone back underground with the cicadas until there's another presidential election. Then she'll surface again. But that's it.
But I'm being sarcastic. This idea of
But Dean, I'm sorry. I got to say, for the Muslims in Dearborn, God bless them. I love them. But if they thought they were going to do better with the guy who wanted a Muslim ban, and that's why they didn't vote for Kamala Harris because they didn't do enough for Gaza, I hope they enjoy.
No, but I understand. You can criticize all you want, but the idea that I see white people blaming them for losing when it was white people, if they got their white friends to vote for Harris by 1% more.
It takes a village of idiots to elect Trump. It takes a village of idiots.
It took a lot of people, a lot of people, and I think that pointing figures at different demographic parts of our coalition is a losing strategy. It just drives more people away.
I agree with you completely. And by the way, my whole show is just me playing Jimmy Carter between the liberals and the moderates and the leftists and the Democrats, because God damn it, the only man alive who can unify all these factions of the left is Donald Trump, and I predict he will have them all on the same team by the end of the month.
You're right. I agree.
My new show, Finger Pointing, actually is launching next week. So
I'm doing my new show, Blame Game. Let's do them back to back.
Oh, that's similar. Very similar. All right. Before I let you go, each pick one of Trump's secretaries or nominees and make the case against that crazy person. You got your Kash Patels, you got your RFK Juniors, you got your Pete Hegseths. Who would you like to pick? John, you go first.
I just want to say to everyone listening that I promise I will give up all alcohol if you'll put me in charge of the military. I promise. I won't have beer, not wine, no weed. I'll stop with cold medicine. I'll stop drinking water if you'll put me in charge of our military. Just 1 month. Let me enough time for an audit, because Elon's not going to be auditing the Pentagon. That might affect his contracts. So
right.
I can't narrow it to just one. I'm so happy for Kim Guilfoyle, Ambassador to Greece. It's her favorite musical. I think it's great that she got to go there. I think J.D. Vance is the worst of all of them. J.D. Vance, the revoltingly fake Christian who first pushed the evil racist lie about innocent Haitian migrants being illegals eating pets. Donald Trump picked it up, and every Christian everyone talks to should have to answer, why weren't those racist lies deal breakers for you? As a Christian, why isn't racism a problem when casting your vote? I have such a hard time narrowing it down, Pete. It's way too hard.
No,
but I'll say J.D. Vance.
All good. I like it. J.D. Vance, good selection. Dean, who do you want to pick on, or are you most concerned about, or do you think their confirmation hearing was the most bizarre, or et cetera, and so on?
Look, I think that there's almost nobody qualified that he's chosen. Their only qualification that matters is loyalty. Kash Patel is the producer of the January 6th choir song.
Thank you.
Now he's going to be the head of the FBI. Are you kidding me? This is a man who said he's going after the media, who has defended the January 6th terrorists. He's going to be the head of the FBI. That should worry everyone, because Trump's going to, Hegseth is clear. He's going to use the military in the streets. Good luck enforcing the Insurrection Act, folks. I love when my fellow Democrats go, but the Insurrection Act, I'm like, stop talking. That's not going to save you. Right. Kash Patel is going to be sending the FBI to investigate you, Pete, because you deserve it. But for others, critics of Donald Trump are going to find FBI agents at their house. We're going to see this drummed up, just like Joseph Stalin.
That's true.
It's the playbook, my friend. So that really worries me, the FBI, Kash Patel.
I want to change my answer to Pam Bondi, because, again, this is an administration this is an administration for people who enjoy seeing American police beaten savagely for a lie. And people say, how can that be? How can MAGA get behind the beating of cops? Every time a cop beats up an innocent black man, they defend it. Yeah, because they're all authoritarian. It's their religion. So when a cop murders an unarmed black man, they'll always defend the cop because he's the authoritarian symbol. Right. But when you've got a greater authoritarian symbol like Donald Trump, and these miserable cops are protecting democracy, then they're in the way. And that's why it's completely consistent for MAGA to go from back the blue to fuck the police. But Pam Bondi is hunting law enforcement agents right now who prosecuted those terrorists of January 6th. This is the most underreported story right now. FBI and CIA are terrified. People who are doing their job and given an assignment prosecute this terrorist who attacked our Capitol. She's hunting them right now. These people hate police and they hate the rule of law. They're attacking judges and cops. And we just have to make as much noise about it so our nice white neighbors can't play dumb, because Fox News is keeping them dumb.
You guys are both doing a great job of that, of course. I appreciate you joining me. John, I know you've got to get out there to introduce a new Apple product. Dean, I know you have an audition for a Supercuts ad and the show. So I really appreciate you
for this.
taking time out of your busy schedules to join me here. Thank you.
Great seeing you, Pete.
Great seeing you, Pete.
Wow, no insults. Huh. I guess we're out of time.
Well,
I'm making gang signs for people.
Oh, is that right? Okay.